shining lights that exist in our government, and we keep looking to them to change the rest and influence the rest into behaving in a way that they were put there to take care of the American people as a government employee. Whether you're elected or not, you're a government employee, and you should be looking out for the people of America. And when we can, we should be looking out for the people of the world. But we need to take care of here first, and stop pointing fingers. That's why the world looks at us and says ugly Americans.
Yeah,
the world has called us ugly Americans, not because we're not pretty, which we're not really pretty, to be honest with you, but because we run around trying to be the world police, and we're trying to we're so hypocritical, telling other governments and other nations and other parts of this world how they should run their country, their nation, their whatever. And yet we can't even flush our own toilet, for crying out loud.
I couldn't agree
so
with
disturbing.
you more. You're right.
I went in a rant.
No. I think you're doing fine. No, you're right on point, really. You're right on point, babe. I'm going to tell you why. Because before you try to fix somebody else's house, you need to fix yours. You really need to take care of. And this thing about what really bothers me is that for years, and it has to start with the government, has been separating us. Okay. And this thing about race, which bothers me to the nth degree. Another thing you and I agree on is that you need to put people of power or in power that are qualified to do the job. And this is the thing that is happening. There are some great Democrats right now. There are some great Republicans right now. There are some great independents. But the thing that bothers me is that so many of them have closed mouths. Instead of saying what they really feel and what they really want to fight for and what they're fighting for, we don't get a chance to know. And I think that we've been overwhelmed by the corrupt politicians in our government. We hear all the time, well, I talked to this senator, I talked to this congressperson, and behind the scenes, they're telling me this. Okay? I don't care about behind the scenes. Bring your butt to the forefront.
Do something.
And do something. Do what you were elected to do. So many of them have been intimidated, and they took debate and said, well, if I don't go along with the establishment, I'm going to get primaried, or I won't be voted back in again. Damn it. So that job that you are overpaid to do, because look at Congress, they're making $178,000 a year and try to give themselves a raise every chance they get. Oh, I won't get a chance to keep my job. So you are selfish, and it's all about you. But you weren't elected to follow someone else's agenda. You were elected to follow what the constituents voted you in for.
However,
okay, I want to hear that. However,
I don't want to interrupt you, William.
No, go ahead. No. I want to hear what you have to say.
Maintain your train of thought. However, we have to remember. Well, let me start off with something else. Let me digress here a little bit. Government has no power unless we, the people, give them that power. Mm-hmm. So it's not the power telling us what to do. It's we as the people have elected you to do our bidding. The people are giving the government the power, our elected officials, the power to do something. And that's where I think a lot of society's wrong, is they think, oh, well, the government has all the power. No, the people have the power. They just don't know how to funnel it. They just don't know how to use it correctly. They don't know how to fire that arrow so it strikes the target, which means we as people that vote in our officials, we need to do our job and not give power to the wrong people. So let me start with that. Mm-hmm. Now, what, and this is going to sound really bad, and we've talked about it before here, but I believe this to be true. The number one goal of any politician, I don't care if you're the local mayor or a city council person or a governor or right up through the president of the United States, their number one focus, their number one purpose is not to look after you as a U.S. citizen or a constituent. Their number one purpose is to stay in office, to get reelected, or to move up to a higher office.
I couldn't agree more.
So don't forget this, folks. They're not their first priority is not looking after you and me. Their first priority is to stay in power.
I couldn't agree more.
Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as Dr. Demery likes to point out.
Oh, and speaking of Dr. Demery, we're still praying for him. He's still in the hospital. Ann's not here tonight because she's celebrating her husband Andre's birthday. And if you're listening, I hope you guys are having a blast. I hope you guys are having a blast. And yeah, I did hear from Dr. Sims earlier, and she just said that she was not going to be in. She may have sent me a follow-up message, but I haven't had a chance to look at that. No, you're exactly right, Mike. There's only a few politicians, and it's not the overwhelming majority that you're exactly right. Their main focus, even though they would stand in front of you, they would stand in front of the camera and say, I'm going to fight for you. Yeah. And their thing is that they want to keep getting elected. You know, I was looking at a town hall meeting with Senator Grassley. And one of his constituents, I don't know whether I have that take or not, told him, we believed in you. We have put you back in office, he said, for decades. And I looked it up. It was over 40 years.
And that's part of the problem, too, is these career politicians.
Yeah. And he said, and you are letting us down. You want to take away our Social Security. You want to take away our Medicaid. You want to cut our benefits, you know, and we are disappointed. Why don't you do something? You know,
I hear you.
It's been crazy. So far, Mike, we're batting 1,000 agreeing with one another. I don't know whether I feel comfortable with this or not. But
I didn't want to bring it up because we beat it up so many times here. But you and I differ greatly on DEI, and I don't want to get into it because you and I aren't probably ever going to agree on it, and we've talked about it so many times here on Boomerang. But that's one thing I do disagree with you on the application of DEI. But,
well, see, this is the thing that, okay, what we disagree on DEI is that you're using the wrong definition. I'm telling you, Mike, do you know that you are DEI on the station? And it's not, it's not a slur.
I'm not here because of my whiteness, and
yes, know you are. Yes, you are. Let me explain to you, Mike. I want it, and I don't mind having, and let me tell you why. Someone from, let's see, another perspective, whether you're black, you're white, your
perspective is good.
You're Native American, whether you're Hispanic, okay? Because I want to hear from everyone. Because see, the thing about it is, you are certainly qualified to be on this program. I didn't bring you on this program because you were white, but hold on.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. That's my point.
Yeah. Not exclusively for that, but I love how you and I have off-air conversations and how you and I met in the first place. Because remember, okay, Mike happens to be a client of mine, folks. And I risk every week of losing him as a client. However, because see,
don't piss me off twice in a row, William.
Hey, Mike, I've pissed you off many times, but you know where my heart is.
I know your heart is.
You know where my heart is, and you know how I feel about society in general. Okay. And the thing about that, for what I believe to be the truth, I said, I put it on the line. I said, this guy, he could fire me anytime he wanted, but you don't.
Because you're qualified for what you're doing for me and my brother and my friends.
That's
you're
right.
Qualified.
Yeah, that's my point, Mike.
You're not qualified because you're black, William. You're qualified because you're smart.
That's my point. Thank you for that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're right too. And so, but the point that I'm getting at is, that's what I'm talking about. I didn't bring you on the station because you're white. I brought you on, well, partially because I wanted to hear from different perspectives. But I brought you on because you're smart.
Well, thank you.
You're a critical thinker. And I would like to have, I had someone who got upset with me one time because I wanted to bring on one of my, on the teenage show before Ann Sons took it over. One of really good friends of mine got really upset because I wanted to bring on a Hispanic teenager that I knew his parents. I knew he was extremely intelligent. He was a jock. He had a lot of followers, and I wanted to bring him on. And one of my friends we got into a real heated argument. Why would you want to do that? Why don't you bring on another black one? Why? I want to give everybody a chance because guess what? This may news alert, folks. Everyone. And I hate to use the word race. I hate that so much. Okay. But as far as that is, this country has defined that. And do you know one time in society, and we're going way, way, way back, race was not a factor. But I'm going to tell you what really is a factor, folks. That dollar bill. And because of the mighty dollar, the powers to be has used race to pit one against the other. So we can't pay attention to what's going on at the top. All right? We've got oligarchs in this country that you may talk about Russia having oligarchs and different countries having oligarchs and stuff like that. We have oligarchs in this country that's probably really the ones that's running the country. Say, okay, I'm going to pay you, Senator so-and-so and Congressman so-and-so. We're going to slide some bucks in your pocket as long as you go along with the agenda that we want. And see, as the conglomerate, Americans, we are so stupid that we've fallen for that garbage.
Yep. Everybody gets so busy with their lives. They're busy with raising their kids and paying their bills and going to work. And mom and dad are both working. And now they got to make enough money to pay the babysitter and all that, or hope they got a family member. We're so congested with our own lives that we can't breathe because we're so congested. And because we can't breathe, it's just like, I can't take on another thing. You know, the government's going to do whatever they want. I have no control over it. I have no power here. I got no juice. And so we allow the status quo to continue until things start to really hurt us in one way or another, whether it's through money, power, or fame. It has to hurt us as individuals before we go, hey, wait a minute. Hey, whoa, time out here.
That's right.
I'm going to lose $5,000 a year because I have to pay this extra tax on this, or I have to buy this, or I have to condescend to this new rule or whatever. No, until it gets to that point and the American people go, enough. That's when things change actually occurs, when people get angry enough and get hurt enough that they're willing to put their face out there and go, all right, I'm done with this. Right.
You know, Mike, you've told me about the things about your parents, and I love those stories, how your parents were and how you, Warren, and your sister, how they reared you guys, right? And I would love to have met them. I would love to have met them because you told me several stories on how you protected your friends that weren't white before. Okay. And you stood up, and one time you almost went to jail.
Yeah, because of Clark. Yeah.
Because you protected your black buddy.
Yeah.
You
Oxnard
weren't having
PD
that.
guy that was way out of line. And we were like 18, 19, something like that. Hadn't been drinking. We were just going to get a late night meal. We worked at the same restaurant together. We got off shift. And I don't want to make a real long story,
Go
super
ahead. Go
long,
ahead.
but there was me, Wayne was white. Ed Soria is Hispanic, and Clark was black. And this PD Oxnard PD guy pulls us over as we're pulling into the restaurant where I forget what kind of restaurant it was, but like a Denny's 24-hour kind of thing. And he pulls in, and he's kind of chewing on us about yelling from the car as because we were laughing and windows are down. It's a nice night and all that. And he demanded all of our IDs and gave us kind of a finger wave about you boys need to behave. And he said, here you go, Mr. Ward. He hands me back my license. He hands back all the other three. And then he goes to Clark to hand him back his ID. And then he starts gnarling. Instead of saying, here's your ID, he starts gnarling on him. And as for you, it's like, well, we were all four in the car together. We were all making noise together. And this guy singled out Clark and went after him. And he goes, now you boys get out of here. Typical redneck in a bad way, by the way, piece of crap cop. And he goes to go to his car. He says, now get out of here. I go, wait a second here. I'm full of my oats at 18, 19. I'm playing water polo. I'm all yoked out and, just a stud, man. I could run from here to San Francisco and back in one night. And I said, he says, what? I said, I don't like the way you talk to my friend. He goes, you don't? Really? And I said, yeah, really? And he goes, well, you got 3 seconds or you're going to jail. And I've started to count for him. I was going to count for him. I started with what? And Wayne and Ed grabbed me by the shoulders, forcefully spun me around and drugged me through the rest of the parking lot and into the restaurant. And that just bugged me so much because I knew where that officer was coming from. I hate to call him an officer because he didn't belong.
He didn't deserve it.
But he singled out Scott. He singled out Clark, and I know he singled him out because of his race. And those things have always just bugged me to eternity. And still do.
I know you do. And you've told me many stories about that too. And so I know the kind of guy you are. I know the kind of man you are. But what I'm saying is, and believe me on this, just like some people say, well, you only got that job because you're black. You only got that job because you're Hispanic, or you only got that job because you're a woman and stuff like that. And in defense of what DEI really means is that no, they got that job because they were qualified. Now, are there some instances? I know that someone is hired on. Well, let's talk about legacy hiring. Oh, I'm gonna hire you. Oh, your dad is John Joseph. Oh, shucks, I don't even need a resume. Or
it happens.
Yeah. Oh, it happens more than you know. Or your dad contributed $2 million to his university. Oh, shucks. We don't even need, yep, you get that. So my point is, when people start falsely talking about DEI, why don't they talk about cronyism? Why don't they talk about legacy hiring? We don't hear
anything. How about we just talk about being fair? What's wrong with just being fair?
You, Mike, doggone it. Man, we're batting 1,000 here. Okay, shucks. Right. Be fair. Be fair. Okay? And I'm going to say this again. The true definition of DEI is give me a chance to interview. Give me a chance to interview. Because going back to Jackie Robinson, the reason why I call Jackie Robinson a DEI, because at that time, I think it was Jackie Robinson, the first black player in the
I
a
believe he
baseball
broke this.
league.
I believe he broke the glass
He
ceiling. Yeah,
broke
I
the
believe.
color barrier.
Yep.
That's what DEI means, man. He got a chance to show the world who he was. There is
And he earned it.
he earned
He
it.
deserved it. He earned it. He owned it.
Can you imagine if they had brought Jackie Robinson on as the first black player in the MLB, Major League Baseball, and he was a flop, but they got him in because, oh my God, we would have a whole different conversation about that. And I don't believe in just putting someone in a position just because of their race. I don't believe in that at all. If you suck, you
Neither
suck.
do I.
If you suck, you suck.
Earn
If
it.
you good,
Do it
you
through
good.
merit.
And you deserve a chance. You deserve a chance. I remember when I first applied at Morgan Stanley as a stockbroker. Number one, the entire office was white. That didn't bother me because I've been in that position before, and I don't care. I just blend in with the group, and I just say, and I don't even look at that. Hey, you white, I'm black, whatever it is. I do my job, and in many cases, I rose to the top 25 to 10 percentile in my job because I was good at doing what I did. That's the only thing I ask. Give me a chance to apply. And see, prior to DEI initiatives, qualified black people weren't even given the chance to even interview. I told you about the Rooney Rule.
Yep, true.
The Rooney Rule in football, where black coaches they didn't even get an interview. They never got an interview. And so they put in the Rooney Rule, okay, because of that. I understand, Mike. So what I'm going to do, I don't want you to miss this clip. So I'm going to talk a little bit. I really don't want you to miss this, okay? But anyway, my thinking is, folks, and with everything that's going on right now in government, everything that's going on in politics right now, I hope America wakes up and realize that when we incorporate the best of us, we get the best results. Okay? It's rumored that Pete Hegseth want an all-white military. Really? That scares the hell out of me. Because you get genius, you get dedication, you get competence from all of society. All of society. And if you look at real history, look at the accomplishments of people. And I can go down the list. That's why Black history is important to talk about. Oh, you talk about Black history again. You damn right I am. You damn right I am. Because Black history is American history. And if you don't like it, ignore that traffic light and just run through the intersection. See how that works out for you. And while you're at it, why don't you put down the train? I was going to switch subjects here. That cell phone that you rely on, put it down because a black man invented that. Why don't you just talk about or forget about some of the other conveniences that you have? Forget about the ironing board. Just go on and plug in the iron and put your shirts or dresses or whatever it is on the countertop. See how that works for you. There's so much out here that we all contribute to society, folks. And see, when we start doing this exclusivity, we really are biting ourselves in the ass. Now, if Dr. Sims was on, she would say, Williams, you using that language. Yeah, you doggone right. But the thing, man, what we have in common is far more or really more deserving of what we disagree with.
We have much more in common as human beings than we like to give ourselves credit for.
We
And
do.
once again, we tend to get lazy and looking at everything else that's going on in our world, and we forget some of the fundamentals.
Right. I'm going to do something right now, Mike. I'm going to close my camera right now, and then I'm going to present something, because America, I believe, even though we are faced with so many problems here in society, and I'm going to tell you something, top down, our government is letting us down. They're letting us down. And this is a GOB representative, okay, that is actually hearing from her constituents. Check it out.
Faced a rowdy crowd during a town hall last night.
Yeah, but Wyoming's a very progressive state.
Yeah.
So
hard to bust people into it. Hard to bust people in. Democrats not organized enough to bust a lot of people into Wyoming. That's a pretty
Democrats,
brain and bust.
She's out in the middle of nowhere, Harry.
they're not organized enough to get sandwich orders right at like a 7-person
Be
picnic.
nice to Democrats.
So I mean, let alone bust people in from Berkeley or
Okay. Last night, almost
Chicago.
500 constituents packed the room and aired their frustrations, with some of the loudest reaction coming when Hagman spoke about her support for Doge.
Doge is not dismantling Social Security. And even with reconciliation, we are not allowed to touch Social Security. The work that I have specifically been doing, I am on the Judiciary Committee and the Natural Resources Committee.
I worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, helping Wyoming family farmers deal with drought until I was fired a month ago in the mass firings, and despite only having the highest marks in my performance review. In a state where so many farmers rely on government programs for drought and disaster relief, Trump's plans to cut these programs and the people who administer them, coupled with the tariffs, will decimate Wyoming farms and rural communities. What are you doing about that?
I disagree. I disagree. I come from the ag community. I'm well aware of what kind of programs are out there. It's so bizarre to me how obsessed you are with federal government. But here's the thing. All Doge is doing is you guys are going to have a heart attack if you don't calm down. I'm sorry. Your hysteria is just really over the top.
How validating.
Willie,
Don't do that.
Willie, for the uninitiated who don't
Whoa.
know Wyoming politics, they weren't saying boo. They were saying, hey, right. That's an old baseball joke.
was-
Yeah, Bruce. Except no, it wasn't Bruce. So I don't really follow politics that much. I think
Bring it up to speed.
in my business, you don't really have to. But Wyoming, did that go for McGovern 72? Did it go?
What
Like
was
how liberal is Wyoming?
No
It's a kind of
state in the
bluish-
union, and there are 50 of them.
Yeah.
Last check
50.
gave more of its vote as a percentage
51.
to Donald Trump than did Wyoming.
Really?
71% for Donald Trump. So they were around 70 last time around. Now, I said there's always an excuse.
Yeah.
So afterward,
Yeah.
Congresswoman Hagman and her staff said, well, this was held in Laramie, which is a
Laramie.
college town
Oh.
full of college kids and leftists
So
and hippies.
all Democrats
If you've
in there?
ever been to the University of Wyoming,
Yeah.
it's not. I wouldn't call it a hippie school
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place,
Whoa.
great school.
There's only one congressional district in Wyoming. It's the whole state's one congressional district, and so that Harriet Hegman, just for those of you who don't remember, she's the woman who beat Liz Cheney in the
Right.
primary and went out to take that seat. So there's a particular kind of poignance to.
Yeah. Wow.
When you're telling your voters to calm down,
And that they're
you
hysterical.
may not be with
And don't be
And that they're
hysterical.
hysterical. You're calling your voters
Wow.
hysterical.
Yeah, good luck in a couple.
Hey, everyone, just sit down and shut up for a second. I have some things to say.
I don't agree
But we're seeing this again and
with what's
again,
going to happen to you.
where these Republican congressmen and women are standing in a room across from their voters, as you did a million times, and taking the side of Elon Musk, saying, I support Doge, I support Elon Musk, over what you're telling me right now. It's extraordinary.
I'm telling you, there's nothing that your constituents like more than when you show independence and you say, as I did, I disagree with Bill Clinton here, 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 and here. It's not good for you. I disagree with Newt Gingrich and Bob Dole and Republicans in all of these different places. I mean, if it's all about helping constituents, this is actually an easy call. And you actually can stand up to Elon Musk and live to tell about it. The perfect example of it, politically, live to tell about it. Perfect example was in the transition. Elon Musk came out, and I think Donald Trump did too, came out and told Republicans, you are going to vote for the CR or we're going to target you. Elon said this, we're going to destroy you and you will not be elected in Congress, something along those lines. 38 voted no. And they said, basically, screw you. I know my constituents better than you know my constituents. I'm going to do what I need to do. I mean, that's the thing. If you have a relationship with your constituents, you can talk to them. You can go to those meetings and you can go, I agree with you. Veterans should not have, their VA benefits slashed. I agree with you. Veterans that have served in our country's uniform for 20 years should not be fired randomly by a billionaire immigrant from South Africa who doesn't seem to understand the most basic concepts of Madisonian democracy. You can say that and win.
It's your job.
Yeah, that's the example of Republicans who have defied them so far. But it can't be overstated. There's real fear among Republicans on Capitol Hill of, it's always been, you don't want to cross Trump. You don't want to get the tweet taking you down or endorsing your primary opponent. But now it's also Musk because he has the money to bankroll it. And that's just it's a new phenomenon. Some Republicans have told me this last week or so. An unlimited campaign checkbook to take you down. And there is fear of crossing them. And that is what we're seeing time and time again, where they're forced to defend the most unpopular cuts in deep red districts because they don't want to cross the line.
John Heilman, though, the White House knows Elon's numbers are going down. I said to somebody close to the White House, he's a heat shield. I understand. He's a heat shield for the president. And inside the White House, there's no, he's not really, because his low numbers are starting to impact the president's numbers.
And look, some people can sort of see the end game here where he starts to become more of an albatross than he's worth keeping around. At the moment, though, to Lamir's point, if you're Harriet Hegman, you are the beneficiary. You've seen what happens when Donald Trump and the MAGA movement turn against Liz, one of the most rock rib conservatives in the party. So you know the power of getting primaried. That's how you got there. You can imagine why she's scared. I'm not having any sympathy for her. She's taking the wrong positions here on a lot of things, and she's going against her own constituents. But she has a very vivid memory of what it means to get crosswise with Trump.
The job's just not, the job's just not worth it.
Well,
allowing veterans, allowing children, allowing the elderly to lose their health care and nursing homes. Like, you take a place like Laramie, Wyoming, those citizens are so dependent on Medicaid funding for their hospitals, for their primary providers. I bet you 40% of children, their health care comes from Medicaid. All of these things that they're slashing, the Department of Education, I guarantee you, it's a lot more important to them than it is in like Manhattan.
You put a piece of gum in your mouth.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
When?
I just saw that.
I'm distracted. That wasn't gum.
Are you?
Go ahead.
Did you take drugs this morning?
No, I saw it.
It's
Don't
really
do
sad.
it.
Anyway, Anna, we got to.
I mean, this is a really big country with great philosophical variety. People feel all kinds of things. That's normal. People in rural areas think differently. That's all fine. No one in America voted for apartheid era Elon.
Nobody
to be in charge of anything.
voted for that.
No one in America. It's not conservative. what he's doing. It's not libertarian what he's doing. It is personalistic politics where a wannabe autocrat and Donald Trump has outsourced the slashing and burning of the republic to apartheid era, Elon, and no one wants this, and they are going to find out.
Do not discount the Afrikaner vote in Laramie.
By the way, if you want to take on an interesting take on Elon Musk, what you're saying, you must see what Bill Burr is going around saying about Elon Musk.
So good. Oh my God. Put him in charge of Demcoms.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to stop this right now, and let's get back here for a second. All right, let's do this. Wow. Mike. Okay. We're seeing this all over the country, and it's not necessarily all blue states. Why are we even talking about red states and blue states? This is the United States of America. United States of America. It's not supposed to be red.
E pluribus unum. Do you remember the on our money? E pluribus unum. Remember what that means?
Hey, bring it to my attention. I've heard it before.
E pluribus unum, from many, one. That's why it's on our money. From many people coming to this country as immigrants, E pluribus unum is from many, we are one.
That's exactly right. And if we want to talk about immigrants, except for the Native Americans, we are all immigrants. The Native Americans, and people argue, well, they didn't have a real country. They didn't have a real government. They didn't have this. But you know what? It was their country. Now, I'm going to say something else that a lot of people, you can or you may not agree with me at all. Before slavery and before the Pilgrims came over to this country, do you know there were black people in America also? And if you go back into real history, you would understand how Africans had explored the continent and made a state in the continent, and had been here even before slaves were brought here to America, before and way before the settlers came to this country. You have to understand, folks, we really need to really go back in history and find out what's really happening in America. Like I said, we all have made contributions and sacrifices. We all have made sacrifices. And I don't care who you are. And I would love to get away from, well, the majority, the minority, or their minority. And see, that also has a psychological impact. Majority means that you're bigger, you're stronger, you're smarter. Minority means that, hey, yeah, you're just here, okay? And the majority rules. And that is so disingenuous and so heartbreaking to understand. And you find out that Republicans right now, they really don't want to do town halls before again. And there are many on the upper echelon that says, stop doing town halls. That's a death sentence for a politician. If you want to stop talking to the people that voted you in, that's a death sentence. If you're not going to talk to me while you're in power, why do I need to elect you again? So they're shooting their own selves in the butts. You can't do that. And I know you've seen it, and I've seen it. And we're not talking about. There's been a misconception that, or in all these town halls, they are paid operatives or paid left-wingers that are coming to you. That is stupid on its face.
Well, hold on.
Let me finish, Mike.
Hold on. All right. Well, don't forget this thought before you go on to something else. Stick to this one.
I want you. I want you. Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. Let me finish. You have thousands of people that show up to these town halls. Nobody's going to convince me that you've got 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000, and people filling up arenas that they're all being paid. How much are they paying them? $50, $100, $1,000? No. That is a right-wing talking point. These are in Nebraska, Iowa, Alabama, North Carolina. Are you trying to tell me that these are left-wing operatives or left-wing paid protesters? Look, you can sell this stuff to someone else, but I am not buying it. Mike, go on, jump in, bro.
So in the interest of being fair here, I don't think people are necessarily getting paid to go be disruptive. I think there's a network of especially people of the liberal persuasion, that they like to be disruptive. So what they're doing is they know in advance when these town hall meetings are going to occur.
Okay, go
and
on.
what they do is they load that whatever the community center is or whatever the stadium is. They get together and they conspire to go in there and purposely be disruptive. And if you notice, if you listen to some of these talks, which I listen to all the time, if the room is loaded with Republicans or conservative people, everybody gets to talk, whether you're left wing or right wing, whoever the presenter is, they're allowed to speak. However, when you get a room that's loaded with left wing lunatics, they stifle the person's chance. Like the video you just showed, they canceled her out by booing her and everything else they could do to be disruptive. And they stopped her from having her freedom of speech. So I noticed that I'm in the middle. I'm independent. I noticed that the left wing will do everything they can to be disruptive and talk over the top of people, while you get somebody else that's more conservative, and the people that are there to listen are conservative. They allow people to talk, and that's all I'm trying to do is let people talk. And to think that these people weren't in those rooms or in those town hall meetings on purpose to be disruptive, you'd be very naive, William. So these people are there on purpose. Now, are they getting paid? No. Are they left-wing loonies? Yeah. And they cancel people out by talking over the top of them instead of listening to them. And that's the problem I have, is we should listen to both sides and then determine what we think is right and what we think is wrong based on our perceptions and such. But we shouldn't cancel people out by screaming over the top of them, throwing paint on them, standing up, jumping up and down and filling in their diaper. No, let people talk. Be civil about it. William, you and I have heated discussions, but we at least listen to each other. We at least let each other talk. And that's where it should begin, right there. Don't cancel people out by booing them. Listen to what they got to say. You might learn something.
No, I agree. Excuse me. I agree with that. But what proof do you have that these are left wing? Could it be that these are also right wing people that are getting pissed off because they don't agree with what's going on? Because remember, Mike, I'm talking about places like Alabama. I'm talking about people like Nebraska. I'm talking about people like in North Carolina. I'm talking about people, and these are, and for the most part, these people have identified as Republican, and they are pissed off. I'm going to play something else. And so I'm not going to, this is one thing I'm going to disagree with, that the people who are disruptive and booing are left wing, all left wing. No, these are people like veterans. They're saying, and you are trying to take away my benefits. I mentioned some of my family members, and I talked about my brother that's in the Air Force, who and veterans. Folks, if we don't protect the people that are protecting us, then we're going to be on the losing end. Okay? Mike, these are veterans, right-wing veterans said, how dare you take away my benefits? How dare you do that?
What benefits have been removed from our military?
Well, they have fired from the Veterans Administrations.
What benefits have our military men and ladies? What benefits? Not people. I didn't ask people. I said, what benefit? You said our veterans are losing benefits.
Their health benefits?
What benefits?
Their health benefits? They are losing their health benefits?
Since
yes,
when?
They are. Mike,
Since
I'm
when?
talking to people. No, hold on, Mike.
The VA's right down the block from me here in Loma Linda. Not one veteran in there has lost any of their benefits.
But there are VAs not on your end, Redlands, California. There are veterans all over this country.
Where? Name one.
Mike, I'm trying to tell you. I'm right here in Virginia. And my brother is nervous as hell that they're going to cut some important benefits from him. Look at this. Hold it.
He's nervous, but have they cut him?
Mike, let me finish, please. I think throughout this entire broadcast so far, you've spoken and I've spoken, okay? And this is the way we're going to do this, all right? I'm telling you what I'm hearing from not only what I get off of the internet, not only what I get off of Facebook, not only what I get off of Google or whatever it is. I'm talking about veterans that I know. And you can't get any closer than my own brother. And he's upset. Look at what they have done. They've gone on and slashed 6,000 veterans. Okay, they fired that was working for the Veterans Administration. Just haphazardly, just cut them. They didn't, and they didn't even check. Well, is this person really doing the job? It's just like when we go back to Jackie Robinson. They went on and just slashed and just took out all of, number one, leave our veterans' history alone. That's number one. Because whatever happened, good, bad, or ugly, and they would not honor these people if they hold it, Mike. If they would not have.
You're getting off topic.
No, I'm not. I'm going to bring it back full circle. Trust me on this. Trust me on this. Okay? We've already agreed, and it's archived, Mike, because I got it recorded, that they should not be erasing the history of our veterans. We agree on that. What I'm saying to you is bring us back full circle. How are you just going to go in? Now, I'm going to tell you what I feel about what they did with the Pentagon. I think they used AI. And if there was a non-white person there, okay, they just use AI to just wipe out everything. All of that history. Instead of going through, well, they shouldn't have touched that anyway, because whatever history that good, bad, or ugly, leave it right there. Now, when we bring it closer to home, when we bring it closer to home here, instead of slashing, just taking a chainsaw and slashing things, we should look at these programs. If there's a problem with the program, you don't just slash it. What you do is you take out whatever cancer it is in that program and you cut that out. But you don't go across the board and cut the program just because there might be some fallacies or there might be some corruption or whatever it is, misspending or anything. You don't slash the entire program, just like the Department of Education. I'm going to bring it back full circle.
The Department of lack of education.
Mike.
You're jumping around. You're going from topic to topic to topic, and you're not allowing me to speak.
Mike, you're talking about
veterans benefits, and now you're going on to other things.
Mike, I will bring it back full circle. I will bring it back.
I'm here.
I'll bring it back, brother. Okay? What I'm saying is, with all these programs, you don't come and cut all of these programs which in the beginning had all good intentions. Are there problems? Yes. Okay. Is there misspending? Yes. Are there things that need to be corrected? Yes. But because these programs had good intentions and have done some good things, you don't slash the entire program. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You don't do that. Okay? And then you have some non-governmental person with Doge to come in. He's not an elected official. What he's doing should be the job of the Congress and the Senate. They are elected to do this. And if they aren't doing their jobs, you kick their ass out. But you don't bring in some rogue guy that's making $8 million a day to try to fix things. He can't even fix his own country and his own companies. He can't do that. Matter of fact, his stock has dropped lower than half. So how is he capable of handling government efficiency? He has his 21 people going in, and they're breaking into, which is a fact, non-governmental benefits. I mean, it's going in, taking over their offices and changing the locks. You may not have heard about that, but this is true. But the point that I'm getting at, let's get back to it, what we're saying. You don't harm the veterans. You don't cut, you don't fire. You got 6,000 veterans that work for the Veterans Administration. Okay? You're just going to fire them without an evaluation?
If they're wasteful, yeah.
Well, you don't know whether they are or not, because the figures that
neither do you.
Well, I know that Dodge has not released an official report and auditing, because I'm gonna tell you what has been proven is that what they said was an $8 billion a fine was not $8 billion. It was 8 million. It was 8 million.
So are we going to get back to veterans benefits? Because you've gone through 6 topics now and you've never let me answer.
Let's go back. Let's go back to veterans benefits. Mike, as a son of a veteran, I got 2 questions for you, and then I will be quiet. Should we not honor our veterans, and should we not also make sure that they've got the benefits that they've earned and that they deserve? And if you got 6,000 people that work for the Veterans Administration, it could be more, but I'm gonna go with that figure right there. You just go back and just fire 6,000 veterans from the Veterans Administration, okay, without an evaluation.
How do you
even in your job, even if your job at when you did it and you served admirably, do you go in and cut out the entire department, including the ones that did a great job? You don't even know without an evaluation.
And neither do
Just
you.
go in and cut it. It's your time, my friend. Go on and speak.
You don't know who they're cutting or why they're cutting them. If they're getting rid of
They don't know why they're cutting it either.
Then well, I'm assuming that they're looking at that stuff and going, well, yeah, you're a piece of deadwood and you're not. They have to evaluate. And by the way, William, I don't want you to be quiet. I want to have a dialogue with you. I don't want to listen to you for 6 minutes, go from topic to topic to topic to topic, and never let me center on one. I want to talk back and forth with you before you go on to the next topic and the next topic and the next topic. You got to give me a chance to chat with you here. And I'm going to go back to the Department of Lack of Education. That whole department is just a complete and total farce. It's a waste. It's a joke, and it needs to be eliminated because they haven't done anything but run our children's grades down lower and lower and lower every year compared to the rest of the world. So let's start with that crap. Now, as far as veterans, their benefits and such, I regularly go to the Veterans Hall. I am a member of 421 up here in Highland. And by being an American Legion veteran, I get to go to all the veterans places. So there's 2 here in Redlands, number 106 and number 650. So I regularly go to those places and I do music, or I just go with my buddy Randy and we talk with the vets. So there's 3 places right there. The American Legion in Yucaipa, I regularly go to. I'm a member of the Elks Club here in Redlands, which has its own veterans committee that does fundraising for the veterans and does cool things for them every single week, including clothing and getting fed. I get to see, touch, and talk and hug all these ladies and gentlemen that are veterans from all these different locations. I play some of the Moose Lodges, the VFWs, the Elks, the Eagles. I get to talk to a lot of people that are veterans, and they currently are thrilled with what's going on with this country. They're thrilled with what's going on with Donald Trump. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan to begin with, but they are thrilled with him. And I am completely unaware. Now, keep in mind, my ex-wife just retired from the VA here in Loma Linda. And I'm unaware of any veteran getting their benefits cut. Every veteran out there can walk into any VA right now and get their medical needs taken care of. So if you know of some veteran, something that was denied any veteran, I'd like to hear about it. And cutting some of the fat and getting rid of a bunch of the poorly run Veterans Administration, getting rid of some of those people that aren't doing their job, haven't done their job, have never done their job. They're not managers, they're not leaders, and they're cutting that fat and they're getting rid of it. Good. And that's not cutting veterans' benefits. Name me one benefit your brother or any veteran you know has had their benefits cut, because I'm in the mix every single week with these veterans, and they are not having any of their benefits cut. So for the lamestream media and the left-wing loonies to come out and say the veterans are losing their benefits, that's a lie, and it's bogus, and it's dangerous to say those things.
No, I'm going to disagree with you, because
okay, that's fine.
What my brother is telling me is that the phone calls are longer, the appointments are longer, okay? And then to come in and just cut willy-nilly 6,000 veterans of jobs from the Veterans Administration. You can't tell me that they went through and it says, okay, and they went through methodically. Because this is the thing about it. If you're a surgeon, you use a scalpel, not a butcher knife. Okay? So are you going to try to tell me that you go through there, okay, the Veterans Administration is having a problem right here, so we're just going to slash, or we're going to fire 6,000 people? Are you trying to tell me that all 6,000 of those people weren't dedicated service people, or that did this the service for themselves? I'm going to go back because I had the pleasure of going with you several times to the American Legion, and I had great times, great reception, and they were wonderful people up there. And one guy that worked there, you know him better than I do. I don't remember his name, but he had a beard and he would walk around. He was always talking trash, and he hated the administration because he said it's harming our country. I forgot his name. Would you please tell him that I say hello? Okay, so
I know who you're speaking of.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
And he was not happy. So for you to say overwhelmingly,
you found one that wasn't happy.
Okay, well, guess what?
One.
He was talking to you and I. No, I wasn't going around then and talking to every veteran that was in that. Maybe you talked to a few, but you are not going to tell me or convince me that all of them are happy with this current administration. And
90% plus are all thrilled.
Mike, I don't believe that.
And none of their benefits have been cut.
Maybe 90% of the people you talk to, who you talk to, 5? Mike, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because I'm talking to veterans, and you've even had Dr. Demery on here when my good friend, our beloved Dr. Demery. I wish he were here now, and he would tell you. Because, yes, there are some VA hospitals. I know the one in Redlands, like you said, that is run very well. Okay.
The Loma Linda.
Loma Linda.
Yeah, it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst run VAs. It went from being at the top until almost it's at the bottom
okay.
now.
Now, which one? Well, let me ask you this. When Dr. Dimmer was on, he was telling you that the one that he went to was excellent. So I agree. And now you can't deny what I'm saying, or you can't contradict what I'm saying, because Dr. Dimmer, who is a veteran, who's been around the world 2 times, and a very well learned person, right? Just one of the smartest people I know, speaks 5 languages, extremely educated. Okay, and he would say that the one that he was at, okay, they treated him royally. So apparently he may not have gone to the same one that you talk about in Loma Linda, which was on the top and now is one of the worst. So perhaps Dr. Dimmer went to a different one. What I'm saying is there is, I wouldn't say malfeasance, and that could go in there, but oh boy, it could be dysfunction in the various agencies around the country. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Lack of good management.
I will give you that, Mike. But you don't come in and throw everybody out because you have some agencies that aren't functioning the way they should.
6,000 is not everybody. You know how big the VA
I'm
is?
talking about the head government
because they
job.
cut 6,000 jobs. That's like
no. That's not.
VA.
That's not. No, Mike. Hear me out. That's not with the entire DJ. That's not with the entire administration. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about the ones who had. I'm not talking about the people who had the jobs within the VA. I'm talking about that work for the government. Okay, agency, the government agency that oversaw the Veterans Administration. They cut 6,000 jobs. These veterans are out. These veterans,
because they weren't doing their job. If they were overseeing the VA, they didn't do their job.
That's not true. No, you're being disingenuous right now, because there was no proof that they weren't doing the job. As a matter of fact, it's to the contrary, where these people were getting excellent evaluations, but there was no auditing going on. It must went in there with a chainsaw and just cut these people out.
He didn't have that ability.
So what?
Musk has no ability to fire
anybody. Are you serious right now?
Period.
Oh no, Mike.
He has no ability. He's an advisor. He has no power to fire anyone.
Well, he's doing it.
He's advising others to do it, but he has no power himself to do anything. He is an advisor, William.
Guess who he's advising to do it?
And then it's on them.
It's on Trump.
No, well,
Mike. No, you're not going to go with that.
If they're finding, if Musk is finding corruption, and he points it out he points it out, and they fire these people because he found they were corrupt or not doing their job, then God bless him. Get rid of the dead wood.
God bless nothing. No,
get rid of the dead wood.
Don't bring God.
Get rid of the waste in our government. Now you're going to tell me there's no waste in government? You're going to tell me there's no waste at the VA?
That's not true. I'm not saying that. That's not what I said.
So maybe these people were fired for cause.
Mike, no, don't put words in my mouth.
I said maybe they're fired for cause.
Mike, you spoke. Allow me to speak, please. Okay, I never said, and don't ever accuse me of saying something I didn't say. I never said that there was no waste and abuse in our government. I never said that at all. I know there is. What I'm saying is there is a better way to do what they're doing. They're eliminating entire departments. Okay, those departments were set up for a reason, and I'm thinking that they were set up for good reasons. However, man being man, and we have good versus evil, you're going to have some people in there that are corrupt. You get away from, or you cut out the corruption. You don't throw everybody out because you have some corrupt people there. You get rid of the corruptions. But the way you do that He went in there on day one and said, "Oh, gotta go." The Department of Education. You said
lack
good.
of education.
Well, guess what? Guess what? We have. You're right. The grades aren't where they're supposed to be. I'm going to agree with you that the way
They're in the toilet. What do you mean not where they're supposed to be? They're completely in the
They're
toilet.
not in it. They are
Horrible.
well. They aren't good at all overall. However, you have some people that's graduating every year that deserve to graduate and move on to higher heights.
They're graduating. They can't even read.
No, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Women, hold. How you know what? Guess what? You said something a couple of weeks ago, and you said Dr. Demery taught you something. You can't say all. You and I benefited from public schools. You read very well. I read very well. Okay, and going through up, man, you have graduates that's graduating and people with honors, and you can't get a valedictorian or salutatorian without having good grades and being able to show that you. Now, yes, you have a large percentage of children that are failing. I'm going to give you that.
Yep.
But you cannot say that the Department of Education is in the toilet and you need to slash it. And you know what you're doing?
They've done no good.
You can't do that because now what you are advocating for is a voucher system which most people can't afford, and you're going to deny people and people who want to learn the ability to have an education. You are slashing food programs for starving children that need to have a meal at lunch, and their parents can't afford it. Now you can't blame whatever you want to say about the parents. You cannot put that on the children. You can't put it on the children, Mike. You cannot do that. And who in the world?
They're not cutting.
No. Mike, nobody can hear if you're going to talk over me. Mike, you will get your chance. But please.
Well, can we have a discussion?
Well, let me finish.
Why do I have to stop for 8 minutes?
Let me say what I need to say. How you go back and forth with talking over me? Nobody's hearing the damn thing we're saying, brother.
Can we talk like we talk on the phone where we go back and forth?
You're going to talk. Okay, go and talk.
I just want to go back and forth. I don't want to hear 10 minutes.
No, I want to. Well, that's what you want to do.
The Department of Education is garbage. Some of their programs will be kept intact. But most of them got to go because the states can handle their own educational programs.
That's bullshit.
Well, that's my belief.
Well, guess what? And mine is different.
How is the states are completely incompetent to school their own kids in their own state?
Well, guess what? You need a governing body that says, okay, this is what because some states, and you know as well as I do, then you got politicians within the states. You got school boards that are really doing harm to our children. And now, do you know that in order now, which is one of the most important jobs that I can think of in politics, is being on a school board. Because guess what? They decide who's hired, who's fired. They decide on the curriculum. They decide on the budget. And there are about two or three other things that they decide on. Let me finish.
But if they're making all the decisions, why do we need the Department of Education if all the decisions are being made at local level?
Can I finish speaking, please?
Again, I'm trying to have a dialogue with you here.
Well, guess what? Right now, I don't want to have a dialogue. I want to say something. I want to say something, and then I will give you equal opportunity to talk. But when you and I are talking at the same time, the audience doesn't hear a doggone thing we're saying. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is, do you know that you can run for school board and not even have the knowledge, the education, whether it comes to the budget, whether it comes to curriculum or anything like that? It's just like an election, and they're going to go with whatever person has the most money in their campaign to win that seat. Okay, that's what it's all about. So you don't cut out the entire Department of Education because guess what? Because the states send funds to the government. Red states are historically are sending less money to the government than the blue states if we want to do it that way. But the point that I'm getting at, you have to have, just like you have to have a president, a governor, or mayor, or whatever it is, the Department of Education is an overseer to make sure, even though they haven't been doing a good job, there is an overseer, okay, to make sure that these funds are distributed properly. But when you slash the entire department, you are now denying children the right to have a meal. All right. So you want to talk about you can talk about the grades going in the toilet. Try sit. Okay, you didn't have any breakfast, and now you can't even have any lunch. But you expected to pay attention and study. You've never been hungry, and thank God to my mom, I've never been hungry. But you have starving. You can't learn if you're hungry. You can't do it. Because your focus is not on whatever is in front of that book that you're reading. Your focus is on now. Okay. You worked for the sheriff's department. Okay. And probably there was times when you didn't have lunch because you were so busy on a case or whatever it is. You may not have had breakfast because you had to get up early and do whatever it was. You weren't able to, you did, even though I'm sure that you did a good job with what you had to work with. But you are working to your highest efficiency if you're hungry. You think about a child. Now, who in the world, if these people want a child, they are doing it right now. They're cutting out food programs for children. And I'm going to tell you right next door in Tennessee, they voted to cut out the school lunch program for their children, for their students, and they gave them bastards gave them own selves a raise. Come on, you're not going to tell me. You don't go in there and slash everything. What you do, you take the program, find out where the problems are, and you correct that. You just don't slash your whole doggone program. You mistakenly talk about they're not going after Medicare. The hell they're not. Donald Trump is talking about it. Elon Musk is talking about it. They're trying to cut out $800 billion from Medicaid. Yes, they are. Now, don't shake your head. They're trying to cut out $8 billion from Medicaid from people who need it the most. We're talking about people with cancer. We're talking about children with cancer. We're talking about that need that help. You don't cut out the program. You find out where the waste is, and you use a scalpel, not a butcher knife, to do that. You just don't eliminate the whole damn program. And see, and then you talk about somebody who is a Department of Government Efficiency who's lost over $200 billion in 3 months. You're talking about a president that went bankrupt 6 times. And they're the arbiter of waste, fraud, and abuse. Go ahead, my friend. The floor is yours.
You are so inaccurate and so off base on so much of what you just said.
I'm gonna say
you just told me you just told me Tennessee cut their own lunch programs. What's that got to do with the Department of Education? If Tennessee
because when you eliminate the Department of Education, those food lunch programs go away.
The states have their own programs to feed children and people that need it. Those states have their own programs. Of the federal government. They don't need a wrecked governmental program that's corrupt as could be, blowing money and not getting bang for their buck. If you're going to put money into education, you're going to put my tax dollars into education. I better see a result on the other end. Just like if you owned a mechanic shop and I took my car to you to get it fixed, and when I got it back, it wasn't fixed, I'm going to be just a wee bit upset. And I maybe don't want to pay you any more money because you didn't fix the problem. And
Okay.
that's where we're at with the Department of Education. They're a leech on our governmental tax dollars. The government doesn't make any money. All the money the government has is from our tax dollars, from the people. The government does not produce anything that makes money. All they do is they spend and waste money. So
that's not 100% accurate, and I'm going to address that in a minute. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Why was the Department of Education put in place in the first place? Okay.
Well, as most things like DEI, they start out looking.
Oh,
really
so
good
you
on
going with
paper.
it, Mike?
Yeah, they start out looking really good on paper, but they never get there because what happens is people take what's supposed to be a really good program and then they twist it and they turn it and they use it for their own devices, and they are corrupt because they bleed the money off for their own personal little pet projects. So don't tell me the government isn't wasteful. They're immensely wasteful. And as far as I can see, what Doge is trying to do is to find out where the waste exists, point it out to the people in government that have the power to cut those programs or fire those people. Doge is only an informational collector. That's it. They don't have the power to do anything other than say, hey, we found this waste over here. We found this waste over here. You guys might want to look at this because this is wasteful, and this is corrupt, and you may want to do something about it. That's all Doge is doing. So don't talk like they've got this magic wand where they can go around and fire 6,000 people from the VA. Those 6,000 people were fired, and they were probably fired for a really good reason. Now, there might have been somebody that got caught in the fray that did nothing wrong, but those people can be rehired. In the meantime, send a message that this waste and this corruption is not going to be tolerated, because those are the taxpayer. Those are my dollars as a taxpayer, and I don't want it wasted. So go around and cut the fat and if you got to use a chainsaw or a battle axe, then fine. But get rid of all this waste and send a message. This will no longer be tolerated by the American people. Yeah, somebody might get caught up in the net. You know, sometimes you catch a dolphin in a tuna net and you don't mean to. You don't want to kill the dolphin, but sometimes there's something. There's times when people get caught up wrongfully so, and hopefully they make that right. They fix that. But there is so much fat and waste in our government. It's unbelievable that you are against them finding it.
I'm not against them finding it. I'm just saying Doge is not the place to do it. He was not elected to do that. No, hell no. Mike.
He wasn't elected. He was hired. He was put in a place to find the waste.
He's not finding anything.
You have a problem with
he's lying about waste? Well, guess what? He has not.
The waste okay?
They have not released an official report or what.
Every day there's a Doge report.
The things that they have stated, Mike. The things, Mike. Let me finish.
Every day.
I think I was quiet long enough, Mike. You said you will have a dialogue. Okay.
I'm trying.
Doge claimed they found $8 billion in waste, and it was 8 million. Shh. Are you serious right now?
Do you think Doge only did one thing? That's the only one they found.
I'm not sure. They have not released a full report.
I'm
giving you one example. I cannot give you. Go ahead. You go ahead and talk, Mike. I tell you what.
Every day they put out a Doge report about what the waste they found.
They're not putting out a Doge report. What they're doing is something on Twitter. There's a difference between having an audited report versus putting something out on Facebook or Twitter. There's a difference, Mike.
There's a governmental department agency for Doge where you can go to the Doge. You can go to the Doge website through government.gov or whatever it is, and you can. And the government produces a Doge report card every day on what they found.
And has it been verified? Has it been audited? No. You're not gonna pull this wool over my eye. I want to know if they've been audited, and I want to know if
they're not transparent. I'm telling you, they're telling you every day.
I want to know, Mike, if they've been audited and by who. These are false reports that they're putting out. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Says who?
They lied.
Says who?
It's been fact checked. I'm not going to give you all the information because I don't have it at my disposal. Okay, we're having a dialogue here about what you're hearing versus what I'm hearing. You need to stay off of Fox. I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you something else. No, you need to stay off of Fox. Okay, let me tell you something. Do
I
you
hear
know?
stuff from Fox, but I'm not.
Do you know?
they're
No,
not
let
the
me
only
ask you a
place I
question.
get my news
Do
from.
you know? In 1998, Donald Trump said, if I were to run for president, I would run as a Republican because they are the dumbest voters ever.
And you're bringing this up? Why?
I'm telling you why, because you are being.
I don't care what he said
No,
back in the early 20s.
Mike,
I care about right now.
You are
William.
being. What I'm saying
Right
to you
now.
is that you're being gaslighted.
I don't think so.
I know
And-
so.
Time in history is going to prove me
no,
right.
I tell you what. If history would tell you that he failed the first time as president, and
He got reelected. He failed so
the
badly.
first time as president. Okay,
hired him back
and not you because
he was so bad?
because I know you voted for Mickey Mouse. He failed the first time,
And so they hired him back again. So
Who
they
hired
voted
him
for
back
him.
again?
But
I
he did
didn't.
such a bad job. He did such a horrible job.
that's
The American
right.
people put him back in office.
American people
Man,
did
he
not
must have
because
he must have done a
American
horrible
people
job
did
in
not
order to
because
get
American
voted
people did
back in
not.
office.
I'm gonna tell you what. American people did not because 94% of the people did not that are eligible to vote did not even vote. Okay, so the American people, and he won by a little over 1%. He had about 70 million plus something like 71 million, and Kamala had about 1%. The difference was between those two. He only won. It wasn't overwhelming. He won
The hell
by
it
a
wasn't.
little. He won
Every
by a
single
little
state.
over 1%.
Popular vote.
Yeah,
He got
boy.
everything.
Yeah, okay.
And let me bring up what you just said. He did so bad in his first 4 years of office that the American people thought it'd be good to vote him
American
back
people
in
did
office.
not because
That's how bad he
the
did.
majority of the American people didn't even vote. The
But he
American
did so
people
bad,
did
everyone
not.
voted him in again,
The
right?
American people did not because he only won by 1%.
He's not a legitimate president?
And a great chunk of people,
He's
as a matter of
president
fact,
right now, then,
Mike,
right?
Mike, the majority of people didn't even vote.
I'm asking you a question. Is he our president right now?
He could be yours.
He did such a horrible job
Yes,
for 4
he
years
did.
that
Yes,
the
he
American
did.
people voted him back
Yeah.
into office.
Well, you sound like you voted for him.
I had to this time around. Kamala's just a mess.
Oh, so now the truth comes out. And now
I
I'm gonna
had
tell you
to.
something.
I was not gonna vote for that cackling moron.
Cackling moron. Are you serious right now?
She couldn't put a sentence together. That's why
No,
that's why they called it word salad, William.
Hey, Mike, you are lying
I
right
didn't make
now.
that up. The news media called it
That's right.
word salad.
But then you didn't even see her speak then.
I saw her speak all the time.
I
I don't know what she said.
I'm not going
I
to
have
let you
no idea what she said because it was all
You know why?
garbage.
Because
It was
you
all
never
word
paid
salad. I have
attention.
no idea
You-
what she said.
You
She
have.
doesn't even know what she said.
Yes, she did, and she
No,
made
she didn't.
common
She
sense.
babbled
She made common.
incoherently.
She made common sense. She
No,
made
she
common
didn't.
sense.
She
As
was
a matter of fact,
she was almost
you
as
know
satisfied
what?
because neither one of them
You know
could
what?
speak.
Guess what? Hey, buddy. She spoke perfectly, perfect diction, and she made.
Wow, William. Really?
Yes.
Really?
Can I finish?
All right.
Can I finish speaking?
Yeah, go, because I have
Because
nothing
that's
to
what
say
you-
to that.
Hey,
The
because that's
woman's a
what you-
moron.
That's what
She's
you
a moron.
Republicans do. You talk over people when you really don't have anything to say.
She's a
you are
moron.
dead-
I said something.
And Mike,
She's a moron.
Mike, you are dead wrong. And I'm gonna tell you what. You mentioned something to me about the other day about history will prove, and history is going to prove that you're dead wrong.
We'll see.
Because you talk about a guy, and I really don't want to go because you're going to accuse me of going to another.
Well, you jump around a lot.
He is anti-veteran because Mr. Bone Spurs never went to any military.
Veterans
branch.
love him.
Veterans do not love him.
I beg to differ with you.
You look at
And I
all the
already
top.
gave my
You look at
credentials.
all the top
I'm
generals.
talking to the veterans
You talking
all the
about
time. and they love
you talking about Admiral Kelly. You talking about General Milley. You talking about top generals that
General
do
Milley's
not
another
love
one.
him.
He's a jerk.
But see what? Oh, see, this is the thing about it. When somebody brings a fact to you guys, Mike, you'll say, "Oh, well, he was this, or he was
What
that."
good did Milley do? Give me a fact.
A 4-star
the-
general.
Yeah, what good did he do? The debacle of getting out of Afghanistan? Oh, yeah, he handled that beautifully, didn't he? He's
They
a joke.
followed. Look.
What did he accomplish?
Oh, he a 4-star general?
What did he accomplish?
You should be ashamed of yourself. You really should be ashamed.
What did he accomplish?
You're gonna challenge a 4-star general.
Yep.
Okay, because now you have to follow. Even the generals follow the commander of chief.
Yeah, he was following Biden, and that's why the
no.
You
okay, but see, Mike.
So you had morons watching the morons watching the morons. What bad could happen from that?
Mike.
That's why we got people killed in Afghanistan.
No, you got people killed in Afghanistan.
Part of it.
No, we got people killed in Afghanistan because of Bush. We never should have been there in the first damn place.
And you know what? I would agree with you there.
So every time, what happens is Democrats come in there and clean up the mess that you Republicans have made. Do you know?
I'm not a Republican, by the way.
Historically, Democrats
who wants war?
And Democrats have created over the last 10 whatever years 50 million jobs. Do you know how many your Republicans have created? 1.
And you expect me to believe that? That's laughable.
Look it up.
You look it up.
I've looked it up. That's what I'm telling you. I've looked it up.
The liberals are the ones that want to maintain these wars that we're in.
Out.
Do you notice that Trump is doing everything he can to get us out of these wars with Ukraine and everywhere else in the world?
Well, guess what?
He wants peace in this world.
Baloney.
And I got to agree with him on that.
And the thing about Afghanistan, you know what? As a matter of fact, if you want to go back to Afghanistan, it was Trump's fault because he negotiated a deal with the Taliban. He negotiated a deal with the Taliban to pull the soldiers out of Afghanistan. So you don't blame anything. You blame that orange orangutan.
From what I can see, he doesn't want war to be going on.
Oh, really?
This world.
No, as a matter of fact, what you can see and what you should see is that he's going down a dangerous precedent because he's siding with Putin. He's giving the middle finger to our allies, Mike. Our allies hate us, and you know it. Our allies hate us,
He's not siding with either one. He's trying to negotiate with both of them.
Mike, has he ever criticized Putin? And you know the fact is he has not.
Many times. Many times he's criticized. He's trying to act as a go-between to stop this war from continuing.
Are you serious?
He's not on Putin's side. He's not on Zelensky's side. He's on the side of the world where he wants this to stop.
He has not.
He wants this to stop.
You had to have seen this one. You had to have seen this one when he was standing side by side with Putin, and our own intelligence told him that Putin was meddling with everything in America, and then Trump says, "I don't see why." President Putin says no, he did not, and I don't see why. I don't see why he didn't start this, and I don't see why he would be, or it was something to the effect, that he agreed with Putin over our own intelligence. You had to see that. That's not made up. That's not AI. He sided with Putin.
What you were referring to.
Mike, and that was in 2018, I believe. Him and Putin said side by side. Okay. And he agreed with Putin over our own intelligence. The world saw that, Mike.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, so I can't answer you.
When is it? Okay, let's look up. Okay. Oh my God. Let me go.
Why don't we go back to who wants war? Why don't we stick to one thing?
Well,
who wants this war? Do you think Trump wants the war to continue?
Yep.
Really?
I sure do.
And that's why he's trying to negotiate this and stop sending more money.
He's not trying to negotiate a damn thing. He's not trying to. He has humiliated, and embarrassed Zelensky. He's never done that with Putin. He has never.
They both need to be embarrassed.
Well, why doesn't he?
This is getting people killed.
No, bullshit. No, if you go do one thing, it's just like having two children and you treat them differently. Okay, he has never, ever contradicted or put down or told Putin he was wrong?
He spoke badly about both sides.
No, he has not. He has on Zelensky, but never Putin, Mike. You know what I'm saying is true.
Sure he has.
He has not. What has he said bad about Putin? Give me one.
Let me see if I can.
No, I'm asking a question. I remember you to answer
the
it.
question.
I'm asking
answer
the
it the way
question.
you answer the question. I'm going to talk for 5 minutes and then maybe answer.
Well, go ahead. Knock your socks off.
You're actually going to put Putin and align him with Trump, and they together are going to ruin our democracy single-handedly. Well, I guess dual-handedly, and then of course once Trump and Putin have this arrangement with each other, then they collectively can just take over the world. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep.
Do you see how ridiculous that is?
Absolutely. And thanks for proving my point, because I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, sir. Because Putin wants to take over Ukraine. Okay, then he's looking at Poland. And he's also looking at it now. And so the European Union is telling you what I'm trying to tell you, or telling us what I'm trying to tell you. Absolutely. Because he wants to pull out of NATO. He wants to pull out of NATO.
Yeah, NATO's another one that's corrupt as hell.
Well, Mike, Dan, guess who started NATO? The United States did.
A lot of things like DEI.
The United States started NATO.
They start off as nice programs, but then they get corrupted because man is corrupt.
Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Things don't.
Hey, brother, I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you to your face. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Education started for a good reason.
But then you're worse than Fox. You're talking out of the left side, right side of your mouth. No, I'm serious, brother. No, it makes no sense at all. You are. Guess what? How are we doing with our European allies right now, if we still have them? How are we doing right now with them?
Pretty good, because can I answer? The King of England, the King of England just asked us and Trump to become part of what was the term? Part of what the UK does throughout the world. They just invited Trump to become us in the United States to be part of that. So don't tell me
we've always been part of it. We've always been part of it, and what they're using is diplomacy. We've always been part of everything with the European Union, with NATO, our allies, and everything. We've always been part of that. What he's trying to do is trying to diplomatically invite Trump back to the table. That's what he's trying to do. It's not like because guess who they didn't invite? They didn't invite Russia, did they? They didn't invite North Korea, did they? They didn't, or Turkey, or any of those power, or those, oh my God, autocrats. Okay, they didn't invite any of those other countries there because we are part of the European Union. We are part of NATO. We started NATO, Mike. We started.
Can I give you a perspective? Can I give you something to think about, please? The United States doesn't need to sit at anybody's table. We are probably
really?
We
don't need NATO.
Oh, geez, we are probably the most powerful nation on earth. If we do it correctly, we don't need to sit at anybody's table. We don't need to babysit anybody. We don't need to hold hands and dance through the streets, skipping, singing Kumbaya. We are a standalone nation if we do it correctly. We don't need to lean on anybody else. We don't need anybody else. Just like in your home, William, and in my home, I don't need anybody. I'm self-sufficient, and that's what we need to be in the United States, is self-sufficient. If we then at some point there, can we help other nations that could use a helping hand up instead of a hand out? Mm-hmm. I'm all for that. But we don't need to sit at anybody's table. We're not the loser here, and we're not going to be bullied.
Well, guess what? Okay.
And we don't need to align ourselves with Russia or Ukraine or Canada or Mexico or North Korea, South Korea, or anyone. We don't need to align ourselves with anybody because we've got the power to govern ourselves if we have good leadership.
Mike, see, this is the thing about it. No, we are not a stand-alone nation. We can stand on our own, but you need your partners. You need your allies. You need your trading partners, okay?
It's
And
nice to
the
have.
then you have to tell me, why did the United States start NATO in the first place if you didn't need anybody?
Can I answer?
Yes, sir. Go on. Why did we start it?
Because it was a way to have an agreement with all of us, just like I live on the finger of this road, which is I live a mile out on dirt road, and there's 8 other ranches here. We all get along and trade tractors, and when somebody needs something, we do our best to trade back and forth and look after each other. And who drives up the road and we don't recognize that car, what are they doing out here? It was meant to bring people together and to have open and fair trade. That's a good thing. That's how it was supposed to start. That's how it started out. But then what happened is you got greed involved, and you got these nasty nations that are evil and nasty people that are evil that all started taking advantage. You know, the U.S. was the one supplying all the money for the UN forever. And what did we get out of it? Oh, we got to go save other nations with our military and spend our money because the rest of the world that was part of NATO wouldn't spend their money until they got put on the hook and got called out for their bad behavior and their lack of funding for the UN. So if we're going to fund the whole thing and we're going to run around the world saving everyone else with our military, what do we need NATO for? We can do that on our own. We don't need NATO. NATO needs us.
Okay. Let me tell you where you're wrong, and we've got only a couple of minutes. We started NATO, and it's not, and see, this is the misconception, and you may have bought into this also, is that somebody thinks that, okay, you've got to contribute X number of dollars to this fund. Let's use it as a bank account. Whether you're Italy, you're Germany, you're France, or whatever it is, and you're part of NATO, that you put all this money in the bank account. And that means that everybody, and let's say, and I think the standard is that everyone's supposed to put in 2%. Okay?
Something
Fine,
like
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
Now, the misconception and where people have been bamboozled on, well, NATO has France, Germany, you know, and only the United States is fulfilling their obligation. Now, but the problem is, it's not going into a bank account. The agreement is, I'm going to put 2% in my military. Germany, you put 2% in your military. France, you put 2% in your military, and so forth and so on. Trump made it seems like, oh, they're not putting it into the bank account, which is an absolute fallacy. That's false. Yeah, some companies. Mike, I didn't interrupt you. Let me finish.
NATO has no money.
Yeah, Mike, let me finish.
I've got to ask questions along the way because you never give me a break. So NATO doesn't have any money itself. Is that what you're saying?
No,
it's
I didn't say
bank accounts.
Well, if you let me finish,
NATO has no money whatsoever.
Bullshit, Mike. Will you please stop interrupting me?
I've got to because you're saying
no, you don't have accurate. No, you don't have to.
You're saying things that aren't accurate.
You do not have to. I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to give you some information that you don't understand. I'm Italy, and I didn't put in but 1.5% towards my military. Okay, the standard was that if all of us put in an equal amount, if we need to defend one another, we will have the military, we have the equipment, we have the jets, we have the planes, we have the bullets and everything to defend.
Okay.
That's the way it is. Okay. Some countries have lagged behind. Some countries are up to where they're supposed to be, along with the United States. If the United States didn't need anybody, United States wouldn't have formed NATO in the first place. Okay. So no. But now they're turning the backs on our allies. He was invited to the summit because the United States has always been part of that. Okay, and you have to understand that France, Germany, and England have fought beside us in problem. When we had a problem in Iraq, the Germans, the French, the Italians, all of the alliances fought together in that. That's what it's all about. But what I'm saying to you is that he is siding with Russia and Korea, and Turkey And there was one other place I'm thinking about. Okay, over in the east, though. Why would you want to spit on your allies? Turn your back on your allies? Okay, you're talking about annexing or taking over. You're talking about taking over Canada, which we have no right to. That would be the 51st state. How humiliating is that? Okay, we're going to take over the Panama Canal. We're going to take over Panama. That's dictatorship. We have no rights doing that. If you want to protect the United States,
Panama. Oh, you bet your ass we got rights with Panama.
Protect the United States, Mike. We're going to end with this.
And we're not taking over Canada. And no,
yeah, okay.
You haven't let me answer. You haven't answered the question.
That's a lie.
Does the UN have a bank account, and do they spend money, or does each state or each country have their own money?
They have their own money, and they're supposed to.
UN have a bank account?
To put that money towards their own defense. It's not a bank account.
UN, the organization, does the UN have money?
I'm sure they do. They would be able to operate.
Where did that money come from?
All of it. No, women, hold it.
Ask it.
Well, it came from the United Nations. It didn't all come from the United States, and you have no proof that an overwhelming amount of money came from the United States. We're talking about protection. No, Mike.
It's all
we're talking about two different things.
You said that each individual country takes 2% and puts it into the military.
United Nations,
and they may do that.
United Nations and NATO they're two different things.
And again, the U.S. is picking up the majority of the bill.
No.
Oh, yep.
That's a lie. You don't have any proof of that. You don't have any proof of that.
I will tell you what you tell me.
But I will agree with you on what I will agree with you on as far as our commitment to NATO, to putting 2%, at least 2% into our own military budget. Yes, the United States have lived up to that obligation. And now, as far as I know, Germany and France and Britain has also done the same thing. There are a few nations out there that has not lived up to the commitment, to put 2% for their own military. That money doesn't go outside of that country. It is to build up their military for the defense of all. The United Nations is something entirely different. The United Nations is something entirely different.
I'm asking for both. The UN and NATO, they don't have corrupt spending. Neither one of them, right? They're completely honest and above board.
Are you kidding me with that dumb? Are you kidding me with that dumb question?
I don't think it's dumb to ask where
there's corruption everywhere. There's corruption right here in our own country, Mike.
Why is it dumb to know where the money's going?
Mike,
I don't think it's dumb.
You know, it is dumb.
Where's my tax dollars going?
No, Mike.
Where are the U.S. dollars going?
Now, let me hold it. We can't get a full accounting in our own country. How in the hell you expect me to answer that question when we talk about the entire world?
I expect a full accounting, and we're not getting it.
We're not getting it. Well, guess what? Thank you for proving that point. We're not getting a full accounting on what's going on with those and what the hell's going on here. Okay, let me end this with this. I need to share a few things. I'm gonna go back to the Department of Education. I'm gonna go over a few minutes, and then you'll be able to rebuttal, rebuke, or whatever you want to do. The United States Department of Education, as a cabinet level agency, established in 1979 to strengthen the federal commitment to ensuring equal educational opportunities for all, overseeing national education policy, and administering federal assistance programs for schools. Now, you may not be aware of this, but before Martin Luther King came on and the Civil Rights Movement came on, do you know that I could not go to a white school? Do you know in Selma, Alabama, and all over the country, when especially I think it was in Selma, some other tragedies happened there too. I think it was in Alabama because George Wallace, I believe he was the governor there.
Governor, yeah.
That black students had to be escorted by armed officers to even go to school.
It's true.
That's why, and things like that. why the Department of Education is so vital, because on a local level, we can't trust what they're going to do. But with the oversight of the federal government saying, you must do this, this is law, this is nationwide law. Yeah, Mike, because see, back then, and even to this day, people were getting hung.
But they don't need the Department of Education to have that.
No, yes, you do. Because you're gonna have some racist counties. If it goes to the state, you're gonna have some racist counties that's gonna break the damn law. That's why you need the Department of Education.
Well, then you go after those people.
You need federal. No. You need federal law to say this will not happen.
We don't need the Department of Education to have that federal law. We have that federal law, and we don't need the Department of Education to
you can't have it both ways. Not if you send it back to the states. Then there's no federal law. Are you serious right now?
Federal law trumps state law.
Period. If you demand
federal law trumps state law,
period. Education, the federal has no oversight because there's nothing to oversee.
Federal law is
federal law. Like if you demand that department, then there is no federal law because there's no department.
That's not true.
How in the hell you going to demolish or get rid of a department? And you're going to, how are you going to prosecute?
So without the Department of Education
that you have no jurisdiction over, you have no jurisdiction over it. You have no jurisdiction over it because it doesn't exist.
Without the Department of Education, no federal law exists anywhere in the United States.
Like, you know, like don't ask me a question like that.
Federal law exists with or without the
you insulting my intelligence. You insulting my intelligence. You insulting my intelligence.
Mine. You're telling me that federal law doesn't exist.
Anything that's under the purview of the federal, they have jurisdiction on. If you have no purview or any jurisdiction over education, how are you going to prosecute something that you have no jurisdiction over?
Because it's a federal law.
It's not a federal law if you don't have a department.
You don't need a department to have a law.
No, Mike, that's bull. That is bull.
Why?
That's bull.
You don't need a department to enforce federal law.
That's okay.
You just need federal law enforcement to enforce the law. We have federal law enforcement.
Mike, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. I'm gonna tell you why. And I'm gonna wrap this up because I've got to get ready for another show. The whole reason, I'm gonna tell you the real reason why they are slashing all these programs. The real reason is to make room so they can justify a tax cut for the rich. That is the bottom line. It's all been about the money, Mike. All about the money. All about it. Always has been. That's why we have a race. That's why we have a race problem. That's why we have a race problem in this country. That's why we have a violence problem in this country. That's why we have poverty in this country, because it's all been about the money. Mike,
it's always about money, power, fame.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm saying, Mike. And you don't see what they're doing.
And the Department of Education
and guess what?
Failing to provide.
Okay, I tell you what.
They're all about money, power, and fame.
And you will talk about waste, fraud, and abuse when Musk is making $8 million a day off your taxpayer money. Are you okay with Trump spending so far
for free?
How you getting $8 million a day?
Working for free.
Mike,
he's making money off of
I'm working for the government and I'm getting $8 million a day off of government contracts. How in the hell is that free?
That's his business.
From government contracts.
You're denying him to have his business?
From government contracts, Mike.
You don't want him to have Tesla and SpaceX and all that?
He's not working for free.
He can't have a business.
Mike, you're making no sense at all, brother. I'm serious. As much as I love and respect you, you're making absolutely no sense. How in the hell are I'm making $8? I tell you what.
He just brought on two astronauts. I would love two astronauts that were stranded for 9 months.
I would love to work for anybody. I would love to work for a company. Mike, I would love to work for a company and I'll forego my salary and give me $8 million a day. Shucks, I'll take that deal anytime.
Because if you work for the government, his companies are making.
If you work for the government, he will be making like $200,000-$300,000, $100,000 a year. Maybe
You
that
know,
much.
back when Biden was office, he was making the same money back then for SpaceX and everything else, and for
Right.
Tesla.
We're not talking about Biden. I'm talking about right now.
Well, he was making money under Biden. Now he's making money under
Well,
Trump,
no,
so
no.
it's bad. But when he was
He's
making
making
money
more-
under Biden, it was
he's-
okay.
no, he's not.
But now
No, he's
because
not.
it's Trump,
As a matter of
now
fact,
it's wrong.
no, that's not true.
Talk about
That
a
is not
double
true.
standard.
That's absolutely not. He did
What
have
a double
contract with-
standard you just created.
Mike. He has yes, he did make money under Biden. He had contracts under Biden.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't $8 million a day.
I don't
And
know
he
what
wanted
they were,
Biden-
but he was
no,
making
no,
money
it
then.
wasn't
But
eight-
now, because
eight-
he's aligned himself with Trump,
You damn right
the
is
money he's
wrong.
making is evil.
And
But
he's
before
trying
the
to
money,
find- Mike,
money wasn't evil
Mike,
because he was
he
along
just
with
canceled-
Biden. But now
he-
it's evil because he's aligned
It
with
is
Trump.
evil because he has no business there in the first place, and he's throwing up Hitler salutes.
Yes,
you
he didn't
probably
do
say
that.
no,
That's
that
a
wasn't a Hitler
lie.
salute.
That's bogus.
No, it's not. Well,
He
guess
rescued
what?
people from
guess
space,
what?
and
It
you
sure
begrudgingly
looks
get
like
some money.
one. It sure looks. Mike, see, you're going to make an excuse for all man.
Yeah, well, it
You
looks
know,
like
you-
I
you-
have
you
hair
should
too,
be-
but I don't.
You should be on Fox. You really should be on Fox. I'm serious.
He did
Okay?
no Hitler
Because
salute.
all you doing is spewing right wing talking points. That's all you
Well,
do.
and all you're doing is spewing left-wing loony talking part.
No, I'm not. I am more centered than you know. I'm fair.
I don't think
I'm
so.
fair. I'm really, really fair.
I
But
don't
I can
think
see
so.
it. Mike, you know what? If something stinks, you can smell it. And this stinks. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna ask you one final question. How much does it cost of eggs in the United States? Yeah, you will bring Biden on that. Yeah, I know that. But how much
When
it cost?
Trump was in office, I was buying a dozen eggs.
No.
for $1.99.
He's in office right now.
When he was in office, the first time I was buying eggs for $1.99, I was buying lettuce for 99 cents a head.
Yeah, okay. We're talking about right now, Mike.
$6 for a 12-pack of eggs, and I'm paying double at $1.99 for a head of lettuce.
Okay.
And
Now,
I paid that all the way through.
and what are your egg prices today, Mike?
They're expensive.
How much?
I just told you.
Expensive. I want to know what is
They're
$8,
right around
$10?
$6 for a 12-pack of eggs.
Okay. And you told me the other day, you said, and you and I had this conversation also. You said, oh, it was because of the bird flu.
Well,
Okay.
part of it.
Okay. Didn't he say he was going to lower prices day one?
Did Trump kill all the birds? I think Trump killed all the birds.
I don't know. But I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that Canada and Mexico, they also suffering with the same thing with bird flu? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know what a cost of a carton of eggs in Mexico is?
I think Canada and Mexico are both very low right now, or at least reasonable.
Mexico is $2. Canada is $2.57 in
I just said
Montreal.
reasonable. Yeah.
Yes. And you know why? Because they put a halt on price purging or price going up, rather.
Who did?
They put a halt on. Trump could have done the same damn thing. So I don't want to hear anything about your administration. No. Trump could have done the same doggone thing. How in the world you got three countries that couldn't be closer? Mexico's price of eggs is $2 a dozen. Canada's is $2.57. Trump could have done the same doggone thing. Explain. We don't have time to explain it. Let's take it up next week.
He's been in office for days.
I don't care.
A couple of weeks.
I don't care. I know,
And
Mike. When you come into office, he's been in for 2 months.
He
come in for
artificially.
Right.
Well, hang
He's
on.
been in for 2 months.
You're telling me that Trump artificially is keeping the egg prices high. Artificially,
I don't know. You know, I really don't have an honest answer about that. But I would go along with him, not really giving a damn about the American public, because he wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now. Do you know that the cost of everything is going up because of his terrorists? And the clowns out there were going to say, well, it's going to hurt for a little while, but it's going to pay off.
Watch what's going to happen on the back end.
Loney. Bull, you go out and buy. You go out right now and try to buy a Ford. You go out right now and try to buy a Ford FT. I think it's $250 or whatever it is, which was $80,000 about a month ago, and now it's $100,000.
And,
Did you know that?
And
Mike,
Trump's doing that all on purpose,
he's
right?
not, Mike,
Because he wants to hurt the United States, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm gonna tell you, and there's a deeper thing that I have to say about that. Mike, he wasn't good the first time, and you guys
So
went on
they
and
reelected him.
He never was. Yeah,
He was so bad they reelected him.
You're doggone right. Because I'm gonna tell you something. See, you can't have it both
Do
ways.
you hear what you're saying?
I hear exactly what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying.
So bad they reelected him.
I know exactly what I'm saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. Because see, you can't have it both ways. You're going to say the first term, Trump came in and we had a booming economy. Okay. And you're right. You would be right. But why did he have a booming economy? Because he inherited it coming from Barack Obama. You will never admit that because you can't have both ways. And now you're saying that we're having problems right now because he inherited the Biden economy. That's why things are so high. That's what it is. See, you have to understand, if he is going to take credit for an economy that he inherited, he certainly should take blame for an economy that he adopted. You can't have it both ways. You're not going to have it both ways with me. It's not going to work. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you this, and this is fact. And you were living during this time. Obama inherited a recession from George W. Bush, Republican. You can't deny that. Housing was in the toilet. The market was in the toilet. Food was, everything was going wrong. He had to shovel a whole bunch of bullshit off the White House step before he can move in. And when he came back, I know what I'm talking about, because
I just agree.
The stock market was over double when he left and passed it on to Trump. Yeah, he rolled the economy and he didn't do a damn thing. He didn't do a damn thing except for when he gave a tax hike and added $8 trillion to this economy, which also leads to inflation. And this thing trickles. Okay, he did that. He lost jobs. Biden created 16 million jobs. The economy, the inflation got up to almost 9%. Horrific. When he left, it was below 3%. Did you know that? So
I'm just listening to your hysteria over there.
I'm just telling you what I know, brother.
And you still haven't told me why he got reelected.
Because we had a whole bunch of stupid ass people.
Really?
On both sides, stupid ass people that came to the table, and we had on the left side we had a bunch of stupid ass people that was too lazy to vote. That's why he got elected. And I have some other ideas, but I have no proof, so I'm not going to even talk about that. Okay? Now, I want you, let's do this, Mike. I'm just going to go over just a minute because I need you to see.
We're already over.
It ain't over yet. We're
already over 20 minutes.
Oh, bullshit. Okay, don't worry about it. All right. I talked to the CEO, and he said it's okay. This is the last thing I'm going to do. And because I want to.
Where's my pills?
Oh, you're going to need them. Okay. Well, let's see. Hold this. Okay, women, hold it. Don't go anywhere. But
anybody that's listening, by the way, right now, this is how William and I talk off the air when we're on the phone. We go after each other and we're honest with each other about it. We disagree a lot, but at least we're honest with each other about our feelings. I tell him how I feel, and you can obviously see he tells me how he feels.
Oh, absolutely.
So this isn't just for the Boomerang Show. This is how we go after each other. And, the vast majority of the time, we do actually agree with a great deal.
Most time we do.
What's going on.
But see, Mike, this is the thing about it, and I think what's unique about our relationship. We're honest with one another. You have no problems telling me how you feel about something, and I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Right? I mean,
that's okay. I know where you stand.
Oh, very good. Hey, shouldn't we be that way in a way? I mean, if the world were more honest with one another, I think we'd have a better world, because at least we could have a dialogue. And it doesn't matter. You can fight whatever it is. I mean, not physically, but in your discussions, and being passionate and honest about your discussion. Let's try to see if this one is what I'm talking about.
Well, it's all over. I am officially losing every thing.
He's a Republican.
This farm is getting sold. I have gone broke. Months ago, I screamed my warning to farmers and ranchers, and they didn't listen. And honestly, I didn't listen either. I didn't listen enough. And now I am paying the price. I am paying the consequences. And they are coming after every farmer and rancher next. It's not just me.
Sure
they
they
showed up a couple months ago. This started, and it only took 2 months for me to lose everything.
You don't regret your vote. You don't. You just don't like the fact that your vote is affecting you.
Okay, I'm gonna cut off right there, and let's get back, Mike. I'm not just bringing it up. Let's see. Let's stop the screen. Stop sharing. I'm hearing it over, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna close it like this, and you can say whatever you like. I'm just hearing over and over and over again. And like I said, I'm looking at places like Nebraska, which is red. Alabama. You want how much redder can you get? Okay. You got Kentucky. And you got even Mitch McConnell that's saying, okay, now since he's getting ready to leave, now he's going to tell the truth. But Mike, these are Republicans. I'm not playing Democrats, and I don't buy this stuff that these people are being paid, which you agree. You don't believe that. But I also don't believe that these are a bunch of Democrats. You can't find that many Democrats in Nebraska. Okay? If in my understanding, over 73% of Nebraskans voted for Trump. You're not going to find that many Democrats in Alabama. These are Republicans, Mike, that are feeling the pinch that somehow it hasn't made its way to the West Coast, or the information hasn't where you are, brother. I'm talking to people that have real
to the video.
concerns.
Can I respond to the video?
Yes, sir. You, as a matter of fact, you have the next to the last word. Now go on, please.
William, I like talking with you. I enjoy talking with you, even though sometimes we get a little passionate about it, but I enjoy talking with you.
I love
this guy. This guy that is blaming the government for him losing his ranch, farm, what I believe is farmer, because I saw the tractors in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's blaming the government for it. I will guarantee you that he is blaming the government for his own failures. So this is convenient for him to blame the government because he didn't run his property correctly. He didn't run his farm correctly. There's way more to his story than he's letting on. He's going, oh no, I'm an innocent farmer that has worked hard all my life, and because the government's changing something, all of a sudden, within we're in March, within 2.5 months, I'm losing my farm in 2.5 months. And it's all because of the government. I call BS on that. He's got other problems.
He's a Republican,
mismanaged his place. He failed, and it's his failure. It's not the government failing him. It's him failing the government. Because if he was running a proper ranch and a proper farmland and all that, he would have been just fine, just like all the rest of the farmers. So you can't tell me that all the farmers are going to now fail because of something the government supposedly did to this one guy. Not going to happen. That's absolute bullshit.
Okay. Let me finish with this. The reason why I think it isn't because, number one, everything is costing him more. He's lost his workers. Now, they may have been illegal immigrants, but not all of them. He lost his workers. And also, there is, when Trump canceled that, oh my God, what's the name of that program that Biden has started, which helped out the farmers, which Trump screwed over the farmers the first time. Remember his first term when he had to shell out $25 billion to farmers because he raised the tariffs and it was putting the farmers out of business. So he sent a subsidy to the farmers. Look it up. That's a fact. And now coming around again with the tariffs and also with the purge of his workers. Now, some people say, well, they were here illegally. Well, there's a lot of people here in the United, a lot of farmers in the United States that had over 60% of their workers were illegal. And guess who else had illegal immigrants working at Mar-a-Lago? Donald Trump. So, Mike, I wish we could continue this. Otherwise, we're going to go into Sunday Night Gold. I would love to continue this conversation. Keep the fire, keep the passion, and keep on helping me to make you wrong.
Like I always say, I defend your right to be wrong, Moise.
Hey, that's all right, buddy. Hey, man, I love you, dog. Who wants to hear a program when everybody agrees with everybody all the time? No, because we are human beings and we won't. So we need to have those discussions, you know?
Well, if we do something outside of politics on Boomerang, you and I are probably going to agree.
What we normally do.
Politics, we just don't agree on.
We don't, and that's okay. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm all right.
I might like strawberry, you might like chocolate. I mean, who cares? But the thing about it, at least we are sensitive enough to have the conversation and not afraid to do it. So I appreciate that. Hey, brother, I love you, man. We'll talk soon. All right.
All right, William.
All right, brother. All right. Hey,
Talk
guys.
to you soon. Bye, everyone, for listening.